Good morning, good afternoon, and maybe good evening. It's Dean Clayton. It's not SMAXTEMBER. It's back to the most fantastic bi-weekly SMAX user group sessions that you all lovingly and enjoy. I am here, you lucky lot, just to give you a mini update on SMAXTEMBER before we go into some of the usual plans. But it's good to see a lot of extra people attending today. I can see quite a few people that are new and have come in, obviously, from our SMAXTEMBER event. So we'll just go through the usual kind of slides that we normally do. So let's quickly skip across. So as always, these SMAX user group sessions are every couple of weeks. You can go and register, which obviously you already have because you've gone to tinycc.smaxug or through the community pages to the link. But obviously you can always use the SMAX UG topic tinycc link that's on the screen there to access the list of all the existing recordings that are available on demand for you to watch, but also to see where we post some of our upcoming ones as well. And just as a little note, before we get any further, we are doing a little bit of work about restructuring some of the community pages, and one of the things we're doing off the back of SMAXTEMBER is hopefully having a new, should we say, enablement site. So we'll probably move some of the SMAX user group stuff there, but we'll let you know as we go through that process. But as always with the SMAX user groups, we tend to have it across 3 different topics. So feature spotlights are maybe where we're going to give a bit of an update or a focus on a particular new feature, maybe that we've done in a release, or maybe something that's existed previously that maybe not many people know about. We also do our release readiness sessions, which actually will be, I believe, the next session that we do with the SMAX user group. And that's where we go into details of a new release, do a brief overview of some of the new features that are coming as part of it. And then we also have our office hours, which is probably the one that we want to do a bit more of this year, certainly to us. So I think this is where you yourselves will get the most benefit. And that's really where it's an open session for you to ask questions to us, engage with obviously your peers and obviously people from the product group as well. The more intelligent people, should we say, like Brindusa, as opposed to people like me that just like to turn up and talk. But it gives us an opportunity for you to, discuss some of the things maybe you're working on, maybe looking to try and figure something out. Maybe try and get an idea on the best approach to tackle something. And that's what we're here for, right? So obviously we're doing a bit of an update today around SMAXTEMBER and something else, which my good friend Sumajit will be talking about in a moment. But we'll have the second half of this session as office hours. Okay. As always, there is the option to come in through audio options as well. So if you can't use the speakers on your laptop, or maybe I'm just too booming of a voice today for you, you can use your phone and dial in. We do keep those numbers open, obviously as a toll-free option as well. Okay, so the agenda today, we're going to do a quick update on the latest patch releases. It has been a little bit of a while since we've provided that update, so we'll be covering that off in a few moments. Then I'm going to do a quick update on SMAXTEMBER, a couple of new things, and just to point you in the direction of a few things you may have missed. And then I'll be handing over to my good colleague Sumajit, who's going to be talking about an install hackathon for the latest release, something you might be interested in. And then we'll, after that, we'll use up as much time as possible on those office hours. So any questions that you have, you can jump in at that point. And then obviously we'll close out and we'll give you details of what's happening as we move forward within October. Okay, so on the patch releases. So as you can see, we always update on the last 2 releases and the patches that have come out. So on the left, we have patch 4 for 2022-05 has now come out. The link is there that takes you there. There are 32 fixes for SMAX customers and 3 for mixed mode. Obviously, if you have got CMS already installed as part of the containerized CMS, maybe you're set up with native SACM or whatever else, you do need to review the additional steps required to fix some issues around that. And obviously always remember with the patch releases, there are detailed documentation and there are normally some details around potential additional steps that you might need to take in that patch. Okay, for our SaaS customers, who some of you I can see are are with us today. You don't need to do anything about this. This has actually already been deployed, I believe, to your environments already, so nothing to worry about there. For customers on the older release, we have obviously patch 6 for 2021.11. That includes 37 SMAX fixes and 3 for mixed mode, and again, same applies with the additional steps. I just see that someone's posted a question. Does the CMS 2022-05.P1 steps need to be redone? That's a good question. I don't know, but we'll try and get you an answer in the next few moments whilst I'm busily talking away. I don't know if Brindisi, we can check on that one. That would be useful, just to check on that.
What do you mean to be redone?
Well, that's what I was. I'm guessing after applying this patch, whether there's a need to redo those. As far as I'm aware, there shouldn't be a need to do that. My understanding would be you apply the latest patch and go from there. It's really more a case of if there's the additional steps that are needed related to that. So, Mike, obviously you've asked that. Feel free to post another update in the Q&A if we've not quite answered it, and we'll cover it off there. Okay. So that's with the latest patch releases. Moving on, let's get to a little SMAXTEMBER update. Okay, so I thought I'd give a quick update. This is something that we did in the final award show, which I know some of you looking at the names have already seen, but I do an extra little bit of update with some additional details, how we are now 2 weeks out from SMAXTEMBER. So we've had over 800 people attend, which is absolutely fantastic. You can see kind of that rough split across the world of the people that attended. So the majority obviously from EMEA, and I think that's to be fair because of the timing of when we ran our live sessions. But it was good to see, from my perspective, an increase in overall percentage of customers and partners from Americas and APJ region, even when it's potentially outside of ours. We had 22 live sessions and 16 on-demand sessions. And for those of you who may be aware, that might notice that there's actually a higher number of on-demand sessions than was originally disclosed previously, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But the most watched session has been the Getting Started with SMAX session, although I would say our integration engine overview session has now started to increase in number of views, and I think that was an excellent session by Sumajit and Jan talking about the capabilities of our integration engine. And then overall, if you look at that, that's roughly around about 3,000 views across all those different sessions. And then probably my favorite is stat. It's over 11,000 hours of watching of SMAX goodness that you've all done. So thank you all for that. It's really good. There you go. The animation didn't quite work out right there, did it? It's really good to see the overall engagement that we had with it, and I do hope it was as useful to you all as it has been, certainly for me, from the feedback that we've received so far. And always happy to hear more about that. But what I want to remember is, as we now come out of SMAXTEMBER, in fact, maybe it's SMAXTOBER, we're making sure all that content is available on demand for the rest of this month. So if you haven't registered, I see a couple of names in the list of people today who I don't think are on the registration lists. Not that I scan through every 800 odd people to check that, but there are a couple of names I don't recognize. But you can still go to smaxtember.com, go through the registration. It takes 5 minutes. You'll be straight in. All the sessions are available to you on demand. Feel free to go, have a browse, watch them. They're all kind of nicely categorized now, which is quite cool. Obviously, feel free to start with the opening keynote if it does, to help guide you around it. But you should find some really useful stuff as part of that. And if you have registered, we are continuing this month with the Monday with Max email. So you may have seen a shorter one that we sent out this week, which reminded people about this session. And we'll be doing that for the rest of the month, and we'll also notify you when it all sort of closes down. Now, On October the 31st, we will, which is I think a Monday, we will be cutting everything off. But at that point, don't worry, it will all become available at a later point. As I alluded to earlier on, we have plans for making it more available through, should we say, our documentation, our community sites, and a little bit of a rejig that we're doing there. So we'll be looking to bring that out. How that appears, we'll let you know as part of these SMAX user group sessions. That's there and as an option for you. Okay, new content that has been added is the fact that for the one of the SMAXpert Showdown contestants, SMAXity, who did the patient care app, who I guess it's not a spoiler anymore, did actually win the overall SMAXpert Showdown, and very much congratulations to them. They provided some additional videos, which we've uploaded to the webinar session. It's in the SMAXTEMBER, can't get my words out, SMAXpert Showdown section for you there. It's only about another 4 or 5 minutes of videos, but it's 3 little videos talking about some of the capabilities within the app. So there's one about how you're loading data and how it generates things through the integration engine to run some workflows and auto create time slots. There's a little one about managing prescriptions, because obviously it's all around patient care and healthcare. And there's also one about managing appointments as well. So cool little snippet apps, and I say that's all part of that. I will also say that we're currently in the process of getting that available on our marketplace. There's a little bit of work that we need to do for the standard documentation that we create. So the team is just working on that at the moment. Hopefully we should have that within the next couple of weeks. And obviously we'll let you know, but if you check out on the Micro Focus ITOM marketplace, you can have it set notifications when new things are added. You'll get notified when that gets added. We also have a couple of the other apps are going through the approval process to be added on there. I know that the one that was done by SMAX Assassins from the SMAXpert Showdown, their to-do queue version 2 is currently going through the review process. So again, that one hopefully shouldn't be too long before that one's uploaded. And we should see a couple more as well. And as we said during SMAXTEMBER, we're working to make sure that all the content that's produced as part of the SMAXpert Showdown and the ones that were done during the SMAX App Challenge, we're going to try and get them onto Marketplace over the next month or 2 as we go. Okay. And then probably my final, I think it's my final slide. We need you. We need you to provide feedback. I know some of the people I can see in the list of attendees today have provided feedback already, so which is great. But we are really looking forward to getting more feedback and really to shape how we go things moving forward. So, do you want a SMAXTEMBER 2023? Do you want to have to put up with me for all that length of time? I don't know. Maybe we could get someone else to host it instead. Who knows? But at the same time, what are the type of topics that you might be interested in? Are there, what was good, what was bad, what have you liked? And I think the other thing as well is we want to use that to help drive the direction where we want to go with the SMAX user group over this coming year. So it might help us plan with certain topics for us to look at. There are some things that we are working on. As an example, we're looking at extending on the Getting Started series of video content, get started with SMAX video content. But maybe there might be some other suggestions for other topics and areas that you think would be useful as part of that. So please head over to surveymonkey.co.uk/r/SMAXTEMBER22, where you can basically fill out the form. It only takes 5 minutes. It's not too many questions, and make life great and groovy for all of us. Okay, looks like we've had a question come in. Just double check on that. Oh, Brindusa sent out the survey link. Thank you, Brindusa. I appreciate you putting that in the chat. So feel free, you'll all have that now available to you as well. Okay, right, moving on. Okay, that's me done. Sumajit, are you on the line? I will hand over to you.
Yes, I am.
Excellent. Just tell me to click next slide when you want me to click next slide.
Yep, yeah, right now. let's go to the next slide. All right, so good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. We are approaching the mega release of 2022-11, and we have got the build ready from the R&D team. So here is an opportunity for all of you to be able to get an early access to install and test all of the new features that are getting released. So that's the whole purpose of this hackathon, where you bring your own environment and take the bits from us and do the installation. We will of course provide you the documentation. That kind of gives you, it's a win-win situation, because that kind of gives you an early flavor of what's coming in November. At the same time, it also gives us a visibility of getting this install done in various environment and getting a feedback from you, right? That kind of helps us if there is anything that we need to tweak, we do in the subsequent week. Same goes with the features. So there would be a lot of people who would say that, oh, I don't know, I don't have an environment. Never mind, we will have a tenant which will have the latest version, the beta release, and you will have access to it. So there would be a bunch of features that that I have in my next slide that you would want to be, you would be interested to test. So we'll give you access and you can test and provide your feedback. Just bear in mind that this is not a this is not a preview wherein you get to look at the features. This is actually meant for you to validate the features, validate the installation or upgrade, and give a feedback to us, right? Because your feedback would be extremely important for us. You will of course get a preview once we do the release, right? But this is intended to have a collaboration with all of you in the field and move on from there. The tentative start date would be next week, October 17th. And unlike last time when we did it just for a week, we are trying to do it for almost 1.5 weeks. So we run this through 17th October till 26th October. And in between, we will have some checkpoints to see how you're progressing in case you're doing installs, or in case you're doing testing of the features through our tenant. That is also, we will have some touch base to get some constant feedback from you. We will do all of these things through the Basecamp and probably Teams meeting. But one of the prerequisite for our partners and customers is to sign the TSPF document before we get started, of course, because of the confidentiality and all of the legal requirements that we have between partners, customers, and Micro Focus. Now, if you would want to participate in this, please send an email to me, and that's my email address on the bottom right corner, and we will add you to the list. Now we intend to start start our Basecamp project by the end of this week, where Brindusa will be adding you to the Basecamp and you'll get notified. And the actual hackathon will start from next week. The features that we intend to test are on the next slide. So Dean, if you could get over to the next slide. So I will not read through them. These are the highlights that we are releasing. It is both SMAX and HCMX, and you would be able to test all of these either by installing, upgrading in your own environment, or you look into our tenant for the features part of it. That's all. So I would expect some more interests coming in. We do have people who have already signed up. So if you are already signed up, please ignore. If you have not, please do so. That will give you a good chance of collaborating with us, providing us feedback, and your feedback will be really important for us. With that, if there isn't any question, I can hand over back to you, Dean. or
All right, thank you so much. No, I think it's a really good, a great idea doing the hackathons. And we have done them in the past, but we've never kind of been more tied for internal and our partners. But we got the go ahead to kind of broaden the scope. That's just really good. Just one thing I'm gonna mention around the release highlights. Obviously, the details of those will be provided as part of our release readiness session, which we'll talk about at the end of this session, or when the date of that is. But some of these features, I know, for example, the mobile support for assets receiving, which is listed under AMX, but it's technically available for SMAX Premium customers as well as AMX customers. You won't be able to actually test that because that requires the update to the mobile device, which is not being pushed out as part of this hackathon. It's just the pure web portion of SMAX that you'll be able to test as part of this. Okay, all right. Thank you so much.
I said that's a good point. Thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah, that's all right, not a problem. And the only reason I know that is because I'm doing some testing myself of the new features. So we have a test flight group set up for the mobile, and we may be looking at doing something with design partner programs or something next year around that, and do a similar thing for testing new features. But that's for the future. I think what we all want to do now is basically pause for this moment. Whilst I've got the wrap-up slide on there, it's probably not the right slide that we want right now, but we thought we would use this the rest of the time, so we have up to another half an hour should we need it, to basically do this as an office hours. So if you have any, I'm just going to stop sharing my screen temporarily. If you have any questions, any topics that you want to raise with us, feel free to use the question panel, type them in there. I think we've got a few people that maybe have started to type in there, so we can have a look at those. I'm going to partially, should we say, talk a bit to give you a bit of chance to add some extra comment as we go. But in terms of any questions about the current setup of SMAX, obviously we're not going to cover any, should we say, roadmap items. But if there's any configuration queries you have, any questions you have, feel free to put them in the question panel, and we'll try and answer them. Okay, so there is a question about the hackathon from Volker. So I know this one because I've been involved with this one in the past, so I can tell this one. So Volker's asked, what happens to our environment if we take part in the hackathon, upgrading it from 05 to this release? Is there a regular path to regular after GA the November release? So there isn't, Volker. So with the way that we do the hackathon, and it's one of the things that we state as part of people that get access to it, is it's not that basically the idea you should be doing is doing it on an environment that is like a test or a staging environment that you can rebuild afterwards, or potentially roll back if you've done it as a snapshot, depending on how your backup is set up in your environment. So it is designed really to be, I don't want to say a throwaway environment, but an environment where you can deploy the images, upgrade, have a test about it, obviously test that installation or test that upgrade cycle, and one, make sure it's clean on your environment, which is always a good thing, but also help identify if there's a potential bug or something which we can obviously then get fixed for the actual GA release. So you won't be able to move forward with that environment. You will have to basically rebuild it afterwards. So we definitely, and it isn't supported. That's the other thing to note as well. This isn't an official release. That's why we have to ask people to sign the TSJP document. Because if you then contacted support for issues with that environment, you would not get support from Micro Focus on it. Okay, hope that is clear and answers that one. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so we got a message coming from Brent. I've been asked if SMAX can provide capability to send a text message to users in addition to email notifications. Has anyone done this? I'm not entirely sure. I know of a potential way it could be done, but I just want to double check. Brandusa, Somajit, I don't think I've come across any customers that are doing this right now. I don't know if you guys have.
Not, I mean, I guess through other, not directly in SMAX, right?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
I mean,
So
you can integrate with that with other third-party
yeah.
tools.
Yeah, and I think this is one of these situations. So I know, for instance, that there are tools out there. So one of the issues with sending of text messages is typically you need to go through an SMS provider or service that will be able to send that out. You have a similar kind of setup with things like WhatsApp and whatever else, but obviously those are free, should we say, or maybe there's certain restrictions or license has to be provided for them. But typically with SMS and sending out messages, there is a cost associated, so there's normally an SMS provider you need to connect to. From some of the conversations I've had with some customers, they've used some third-party tools that they provide and are doing an API call out to them. So it just depends on the underlying software that you're doing, but you can't send directly an SMS message from SMAX.
We unmuted the lines.
Yes, we did. Yes. Yes.
Okay, because I saw that after this question was asked, Charles raised his hand. I don't know if he wants to make a comment on this or if anyone else wants to come off mute if they've set up this kind of integration to send text. I know we have customers who've done this. I don't know if any of them are on this call.
Charles, feel free to come off your individual mute if you like to comment.
I did. Yeah, this sprint, I was more interested if there was a direct way from SMAX without having to do a third-party integration. We've done third-party integrations to a couple of different vendors actually, so I was just trying to see if there was a way we could send an email basically to the phone number at, for instance, mms.att.net. And if anybody had done that successfully.
I think Charles mentioned, Brent, that I'm getting a weird echo there. That he's done SMS through email to SMS.
You could potentially use our integration engine and a generic API, REST API connector provided the SMS gateway supports the JSON payloads to send out SMSs from SMAX. But I'm not aware of any customer or partner who has already done it by now.
Okay. Let's have a look. Any other questions come in? Okay. One probably not for me. Maybe some of you might be able to help with this one from Volker. So about utilizing Nginx as a reverse proxy for streaming all incoming requests to SMAX for port 443. Can we also use Apache HTTPD as a reverse proxy? Not 100%.
What is this regarding? Maybe we can just take this offline.
Okay. Can you see the? I probably see the question from Volker, but yep, that's not a problem.
I know it's very technical. If you have a contact for me, I'd like to discuss this offline, of course.
Sure. Yeah, please do. Feel free to send an email, and I can contact you one-on-one on this to help out.
So
sure.
I'm on vacation this week. Can we schedule an appointment for next week?
Sure.
Ian, can you forward my email address to who was it?
Yep. Not a problem, Volker. We'll do that.
Okay. Would be great.
Okay.
Thanks.
And just to add, Charles is as piped up, and it looks like he's having problems connecting onto audio, but he's mentioned he uses Apache as a reverse proxy as well, so as a custom domain. He's mentioned so it should potentially be possible.
Okay. So looking forward an email to scheduling appointment. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, great. Any other questions?
And I see a comment from Shao as well on the mobile. It says, email to SMS is the most simple concatenation of cell phone number to cell phone number at smsprovider.com, and voila. So apparently, it says that's working for them.
And as a bonus, he's also helping you learn a bit of French. There we go. Any other questions? Feel free to come off mute or post in the chat. If you're scared, it's fine. We try not to be scary. Okay. Looks like there's no more questions coming in, so not a problem. We'll go through the wrap up. Should be sharing my screen again for the slides, so hopefully they're going through. Just a reminder, because of a slight limitation in the GoToWebinar platform at the moment, still, obviously when you're registered, download the calendar appointment with a registration confirmation. It only downloads the first appointment in the series, so from the point where you've registered. Create a regular calendar appointment to block your calendar, and obviously check the TonyCC.SMAXUG topic each week for any cancellations or changes. But we should be pretty much every 2 weeks going forward. The only thing to watch out is obviously as we go into the holiday period towards the end of this year. Are we almost there? Oh my God, it's getting scary now, isn't it? Soon be out of 2022. Okay. Next up on the user group sessions, so October the 26th, that is just a 2 weeks away. We will be doing the SMAX and AMX 2022.11 release readiness. So that should be hosted by my colleagues in the product management team. I think Steve will probably be running that one himself. But that will be a nice overview of what's coming in our latest release. And boy, oh boy, have we got some fantastic features planned as part of that. I am super excited. And then on November the 9th, 2 weeks later, we're going to go to an office hours. Now, some of you may know that previously, when we've done the release readiness, we normally follow it up with a deep dive into the next session. What we're going to do is we're going to change it slightly. November the 9th, we'll do an office hours. And then we'll come back and dive into one of the topics there. So we'll also use that office hours for you to potentially ask questions about that latest release, and also help us identify potentially some other areas to look at in future sessions. Okay.
Just one note, the release readiness will be 90 minutes, and there is a second session running at a more convenient time for Asia Pacific. So for all the details, check the post on the community.
Yep. And are they both live, Brindusa?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Cool. Absolutely fantastic. Okay. Yep. So check the post on the obviously on the TonyCC./SMAXUG topic page for details for that. Okay, with that, thank you very much. It's always good to be on these calls with your good selves, and we'll see you all in 2 weeks. Thank you and goodbye.